Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless University. Today's conversation is really about turning your pain into purpose. My guest today, Daniel Scali, will be telling us about how he overcome challenges as a child, from jumping on a trampoline to hurting himself, having a prolonged injury to finding his purpose, decided to turn his mindset into a purpose and say enough is enough. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Well, Daniel Scali has broken the record for the longest time in abdominal plank position in male, with an unbelievable time of 9 hours, 13 minutes and 1 second. He set the record in Adelaide, Australia on the 6th of August, 2021. He beat the previous holder, who was 62 years old at the time, and he set it, holding it for 8 hours and 15 minutes. The fact that Daniel was able to better this record by over an hour is truly incredible. And the reason being is that Daniel was diagnosed with CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, leaving his left arm in almost constant pain. And this happened when he was 12. He fell off his trampoline, causing a severe break in the left arm. And as a result, he now lives with this condition where he is sensitive to any kind of pain in that area. His brain was sending the wrong message to his arm to say he's always in pain. But through the love of his family, friends, and everyone around him, he decided to turn that pain, that the brain negative signal the brain was sending to the arm, to turn it into purpose. I'm super excited to talk to Daniel to understand, how did he do this? How did he switch this pain to purpose? To go about and do something really incredibly difficult. If you've ever tried abdominal plank, you know it's not easy. It's very, very difficult to do, even just 1 minute alone, let alone 9 hours. Well, let's talk to my guest, Daniel, as he shares his incredible story. Tell us his journey, and hopefully, through listening, you could find your own joy, overcome your pain, and find the true meaning of your struggles. Meet my amazing guest, Daniel. Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless University, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today's conversation is really about turning your pain to purpose. A lot of us go through so much pain, it doesn't matter, it could be when we're a little kid, and that pain will just not go away. But some people actually decide to utilize that pain and turn it into a purpose and say, enough of this, I have to train my mind. My guest today, as I said in the introduction, will tell us how he went through this phase, how he decided to turn his pain from falling down as a kid into purpose. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
You know what? You are truly amazing. I mean, you didn't just turn your pain. I know I said turning your pain to purpose, but you also went on to exceed greater and do things that people will never think. People, especially people living with pain, always scared about, oh, if I do this, this might happen. If I do this, there's always this thing in your mind. That didn't happen to you. Before I get into all of your beautiful story, tell me, who are you, Daniel?
So my name is Daniel Scali. I live in Adelaide, Australia. My day trade, I'm a mechanic by trade, and I'm 28 years old. So I broke my arm when I was only 12 years old, and I fell off a trampoline, unfortunately. And from a severe break, it was a severe break, I got constant pain in my left arm, which then I formally got diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. So it's just been one hell of a roller coaster for the last 17 years of my life.
And you said, okay, you broke your arm at that tender age. When that happened, can you look back in that moment? Why would the pain not go away? Because normally, I remember I broke my arm as a little girl, and the pain, you never seem to remember. But how comes your pain never went away? What was it? What was it that happened?
I remember only little bits and little clippets of when it was, sort of thing, because I also had other things happen as well along the line, which we'll get into as well. But I do remember when I did first break my arm, the initial shock was probably the first thing, seeing your arm or seeing my left arm folded backwards. So I still vividly remember seeing that picture in my head where I see my left arm folded backwards, touching my elbow. But after that, it was more like, went to the hospital, put it in the cast, did all that normal stuff, but I couldn't move my fingers, and any time I did move my fingers, it would have pain and my fingers would be swollen and they'd be blue. So my doctors and everyone was a little bit concerned of why I couldn't move it. So they thought my muscles were dying. And that's when they actually put me in the ICU to cut my skin open to release the pressure in my muscles. And like I said, from the months that went on from that, I got readmitted back into hospital because I couldn't bear the pain. The pain was that unbearable bear. Anything like soft touch, wind, movement would just give me a massive flare up. And I just had to be in hospital, virtually screaming of pain and with my arm by the side of me.
And how did you cope as a child growing up with all that pain? What did you do differently to be able to adjust? Because I live with my own pain, chronic illness pain. And I know in those moments when I'm dealing with pain, I'm nothing. I feel like I'm a little butterfly because I'm so sensitive to anything. How did you cope with growing up, going to school?
It was hard. It was so hard. And, when I was especially a little bit younger, I pulled away from a lot of my friends. Everyone was sort of growing up and doing activities, doing sporting activities. I could never do that. So I was from being an outgoing young man or young boy, it sort of pulled myself back where I was too scared to go out and get bumped. I was never allowed. I couldn't go into a pool because the water would give me such a flare up, and anything like even having a shower, which I still struggle with now. I've adapted to having my left arm situated outside the shower and just sitting there because anything like, if the water touches it, it gives me pain. But growing up with it was so tough. It was so tough as physically, but as well as mentally. I almost lost purpose in my life. I got angry at myself and I just didn't understand why I got given this, and all over a broken arm. It wasn't like something major happened. It was just a normal, simple break.
But something did happen to you because in the end, you changed your life around. You didn't say, and I'm going to live with this. A lot of people live in pain and they say they get used to that pain in a way. I always say to people, it's called there's something called getting used to pain, where you let your life adapt around the pain.
And that's exactly right.
You build things around it and you live around the pain. But you decided, you know what, there are other people out there living a great life, and I think it's about time I start living that great life.
Yeah.
What drove you to make this change? By starting to go to the gym and starting to feel different about the arm. What drove you to make that change?
My martial arts instructor, before I did break my arm, I was always into martial arts and I had to pull myself away from that. It wasn't until my parents brought me to him because I was too scared to even do martial arts and move my arm. So my parents brought me to him when I was maybe about 14. And he said to me, no, Daniel, what we're going to do, we're going to make a little program for you and we're going to retrain your nerves or reteach you that it's okay to move your arm and we're going to make pain your friend. So from such a young age, getting that embedded in my head, that pain's now my friend, helped me exceed my expectations of where I think I could go. And it was tough. It was tough. I do still vividly remember on my grading, I was in tears because of the pain that he was making me go through, just moving my arm in such small motions, but he kept on pushing me to do it and kept on, you can do this. And I ended up passing the grading, but that feeling that I still remember now was phenomenal. It was amazing.
I know that. I know what he means there, making pain your best friend, because I have a sickle cell and blood disorder and causes pain. And rather than me attack my pain, I always call it my best friend. I said, you're my best friend. And even when it comes on to attack me, I always say my best friend is here to attack me. And I find ways to say, okay, find this inner power, superpower that would attack this other best friend that's trying to be naughty now. And I see where your martial art was going. The first day you started these courses, I know it was difficult, but what motivated you to keep going? Because that's always a challenge, is that thing, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing. You always try and find that barrier and beat that barrier. And sometimes that barrier can pull you back and thinking you can't go through with it. But I've got to say, a lot of family and friends, a lot of support, like with the support that I had around me was phenomenal. I didn't want to let them down. And even though there were times where I thought I probably couldn't keep on going because it was take over me and anything like getting up and move my arm was going to give me a flare up, I wouldn't accept it. I didn't want to go back to that time in hospital. That time in hospital scarred me where, screaming and not being able to be put on a tube as well because I couldn't eat. Anything I ate came straight back up again. I didn't want to go back there. I really didn't want to go back there. And like I said, going back to my martial arts and my teacher, he really gave me the strength and the belief that I could do it, and I didn't want to let him down as well as my parents.
That's truly
Yeah,
amazing. And then you decided, I'm not stopping here. There's something I could now utilize my arm to do.
yeah, yeah.
What drove you to the world planning record? Like, and do something like that. And so, especially someone who's had a bad arm, what
Yeah.
drove you to say, okay, I think I'm getting this now, but now I need to now do something else and plank for that matter. Why did you choose that?
Well, a plank is mental as well as physical, and so is pain. I've sort of convinced myself that pain, like you were saying before, is a friend. I've welcomed it, and then anything where I feel like pain is going to overcome me, well, then give me strength. Then that's what pain is for me. Like if that pain is going to take me on, well, then I'm going to take you on as well. So I thought the best way to show that is through a plank, and I wanted to prove to people that go through pain or that have their barriers, they can still achieve things or they can still achieve their goals no matter what sort of circumstances you have.
Mm.
And it was sort of something for myself as well, for all them times growing up, I wasn't allowed to do things. I always was hesitant to go into water, which I still am now, but I didn't want to give myself that flare up. It's just about time for me to say, well, no, you've got control of your life, you've got control of your pain, just get it done.
And you did the Guinness Book World Record. When you
Yeah.
decided to do it, if you did the first attempt in June,
Yes.
to do something like this, you need to have prepared yourself mentally and physically, emotionally, everything. When you first did it, you did it. You went 9 hours and for a few many seconds to get, but you were disqualified. For
Yeah.
someone who's trained so hard to get to the first stage, how did you take that?
It was gut wrenching. It was so tough to sort of swallow. All that hard work, that training, and to come back and say that my position of the plank wasn't correct, that was tough. So, I had my back against the wall, and I thought uh, this is where something else needs to come out of me and push it extra little bit more. And I knew the hardest thing with the plank was knowing that I was inflicting more pain on myself. Just to prove to myself that you can do it. So to get back down after you've achieved the goal of what you wanted to get, my goal was 9 hours, I've achieved that. And then to get back down and then plank again for another 9 hours with the training associated with it was probably the hardest part of the whole journey. Like it just reminded me of not being able to get up out of bed because of the pain, but you still do get up and live your day, do what you need to do. But that was tough. That was bloody tough. But we still got it done. And I can't thank my coach as well as my family for pushing me through and helping me get through that little tough bit.
And you decided to go again. You didn't say,
Yeah,
okay, this is happening because the key thing of this conversation is that what I want what you're doing here, you've inspired a lot of people. You inspire people who are going through a difficult time. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Pain could be all different kinds of forms. Yours was a physical pain.
yeah,
You were rejected after going through and showing the world, look, I can do this.
yeah,
Then all of a sudden you get this beaten in your face by saying, sorry, you're disqualified. You've done all this for nothing.
yeah.
What motivated you to go again and now do it properly and actually win the Guinness World Record?
I didn't want to go to bed or wake up in another year thinking I was so close but didn't get it. I was that close and didn't get it. Like you got the 9 hours, but you didn't get certified for it. Like you can do it. Just do it. Just finish it. Like the burning feeling inside of me when I did get that message that night or that email to say I didn't get it. The next day, I just wanted to get back down into my training and just get it done again. Even like I was saying, even though I had to go and put myself through the pain again, I've felt that pain before. And dealing with CRPS reminded me as well that throughout the plank, the pain I was never as bad as it was through the hardest part of CRPS. So I knew that the pain that I was going to feel wasn't going to be as bad. So just put your bloody head down and get it done. Put your head down and get it done. And that's where the true warrior comes out. That extra little bit where you do get denied from something and you think that you can't do it, or someone said that you can't do it. If you can push an extra little 2% or maybe 5%, that's all you need to do. That's
Yeah,
the extra little bit.
that is true. In anything that revolves that what you've just done, the plank requires some kind of discipline. And when I mean discipline, not just physically doing it, there's also discipline in what you eat, how you train, what time you wake up, what time you go to bed. Can you describe what a typical day is like when you were doing this aggressive
Definitely.
training to win this?
Definitely. My day would start at 4:55 a.m. So I would get up in the first alarm, and that was the biggest thing as well. What I've sort of thought, if people say your first win of the day is making your bed, but I believe the first win of the day is getting through your first alarm. As soon as you hit that snooze button, you lost that win. So as soon as that alarm went off at 4:55, I was up. I'll do a small meditation where I'd light a candle by my bed and just stare at the flicker, and I'd only stop until I look away. And that could probably last for a few minutes. Going straight away, have a cold shower, do a few push-ups, a few sit-ups, and then go to training for like a fitness class training. And then I'd go home, have a run for my fitness, go to work. I'd have a small breakfast before work, which would just be oats and a bit of banana, and then straight back into training again at lunch, and then back at training at night again. It was just a full constant 7 to 8 hours a day of knowing what I need to do. There was no room for any sort of mistakes. There was no room for bloody chocolates. There was no room for anything that I thought wasn't necessary in that time. Yes. And that's what I thought the extra 1%ers that I wanted to contribute to the plate was going to help me get over the line.
So what did you learn about, going through this process, dealing with your pain? What did you learn about the human being from doing this?
You're capable of so much. Like, people don't realize what they're capable of. I never thought 5 years ago, even though when I was still dealing with an arm, I accepted my arm, just dealing day to day, I was still scared and didn't know what I could potentially do. And it wasn't until I had the belief and I actually realized to myself, you can do this if you want to do it. That's where sort of a light bulb switched to me. Like, you are capable of so much. If you believe you can do it, and then you see potentially someone else do it as well, there's no reason why you can't do it. That's the biggest thing I probably learned.
That is true, because a lot of people, I think the biggest fear is that we can't do it. We're so scared of, and we're so, like I say, we're scared of our own shadow. Everything scares us. We just don't know why we're so scared of rejection. Exactly. We're scared of being in pain. We're scared of everything. When you realize that I've done it, I've won the Guinness World Record, what did you do next to now inspire others to get through that process?
I've got a lot of messages that come through my personal Instagram, which has been phenomenal. And a lot of people dealing with chronic pain. And something like a simple message like, hey, Daniel, you're probably not going to read this, but you've inspired me now to go for my walk or go back into the gym. And they'll send me a photo of themselves in the gym because I haven't been there for 5 years because they've got pain. That lights me up like you have no idea. It's just phenomenal, where all they had to see was one person achieve something that they thought was impossible for them to go back into the gym and either go back on that roller, go back on that stepper and move that bad part of their body, because it's a belief, like, pain is a mindset. It's there, but it's also a mindset. And if you believe that it's going to take over you, well, then it will. But if you believe that it's there and you've accepted the cards that you've got, well, then you can actually manage the pain to how you want to manage it. So that's, if I can continue to share that message and show other CRPS sufferers that, you can still move that limb, you can still go out to that night event, even though you're concerned about being bumped and giving you a flare up, everything will work out at the end. You're just going to have to keep on trying, keep on pushing.
I always get confused. What is this thing we call mental mindset? Because you said you had to change your mindset. You had to change the game in a big way. And I always ask myself, what is this that we change to get ourselves? How did you learn to do this?
It's almost like a switch. It's almost like a flick. I found it for myself, like, you can go for a run, and if you say to yourself, I'm going to make this run, or I'm going to get this goal in 10 minutes opposed to 8 minutes, 8 minutes opposed to 10 minutes, you've given yourself a goal. You know what I mean? A ship won't leave the harbor without a destination. So I've always myself, if I ever do something, I try and give myself a goal where I know I can do this in 10 minutes, but I'm going to break it in 8 minutes, for instance, whether it's a run or whatever it is. I've given myself now a goal to achieve. Straight away, your head switches and knows what it needs to do. Knows what it needs to do. Everything needs to come together to get you to that goal that you want. It's amazing what the subconscious mind can do. Even when training, for instance, with myself, I found that while training and I feel my arm burning out, I've got a goal of 10, but subconsciously, I'll always count the number 1 twice. So I'll go 1, 1, 2, 3. So subconsciously, I've done 11, but theoretically, but my body thinks I've only done 10. So just tricking your mind and changing your mindset on certain things, it's amazing what the extra 1% that you can get.
Danny, before I let you go, I have to ask you, so many people are watching this program today, and one of the things they will be asking themselves is that, wow, he did it. He didn't just overcome his pain. He went on to win a Guinness World Record, which many people cannot do. But you
Thank
went
you.
ahead and did it. You turned your pain into purpose. What does all this mean to you?
That you're capable of anything. Like I was saying before, like anytime you think you got your back against the wall and you feel like you can't keep on pushing, you're only halfway there. You can still keep on going. When you get knocked back down, and say someone tells you, no, you didn't do it, you didn't accomplish that goal, get back up, dust yourself off, and show them again. Like it's amazing what your body and your mind can do when they come together. So
yeah, truly amazing. I'm really honored you took the time out to talk to me. Share
I
your
really
wonderful
appreciate
story. Keep inspiring people. What next for you before I let you go? What next?
I would love to continue to raise awareness for chronic pain sufferers as well as CRPS sufferers. So there might be something else in the pipeline that I'm thinking of doing, but at the moment, just raising awareness. Trying to reply back to all the messages, which is phenomenal. So I'm slowly getting through that. But keep up to my socials, and then I will be announcing something soon.
Oh, wow. We'll be in touch anyway. Keep us posted if there's anything that's come out. We love to talk about chronic pain because I think it's one of the biggest hinderer of people moving forward in life. We use it as a barrier. We say this friend of ours is not going to let us do anything, but you've really shown
Thank you.
It can be done. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.